father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
The GRAPHFLEX lightsaber, possibly the most iconic lightsaber, and also possibly the hardest design to build. It's possibly one of the cooler lightsaber designs, but also the most complicated one to build. And it costs about £500 to get a good quality one online, so I decided to make my own. And this is how you can make one as well. I printed off the templates and I wasted a lot of paper. I could have done this way more efficiently, but yeah. This was one that fitted. I originally went with this piping just because I had it, but it's smaller. It's what I used for the inner tube of my last one because it fits quite well. But I decided to use this one because it's easier to use really. And the template fits pretty well round with a lot of adjusting. So I've got my piping and I've got my cutout template. I'm using this scrap piece of piping. I was going to use it for another project, but it didn't really work. It's got some holes in it, but that doesn't matter because we're only going to be using like this bit. The curved bit comes down to about here, so it shouldn't really matter. So now we just want to put that in here. And then use this stuff to stick the template on. Yeah, I always use this stuff for sticking templates to things because, like, for metal and stuff, it can just be wiped off. Like the sticky bits of the metal can just be wiped off with WD-40. So it's really temporary. So now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure the top is straight as possible. And then you want to move to the back to make sure the back's straight as possible. Okay. Just gotta let that dry. Just gonna let that dry. Alright, so for the next bit, we're gonna have to cut out all this metal. I mean, you could do this without power tools. I'm gonna be using my Dremel and other bits for it. You could use files and hacksaws and stuff, but for efficiency, I'm gonna use power tools. Alright, so now I have scored down here. I'm going to use my Dremel tool to just cut along these lines in between each one, and all these will fall out, and then we should have a lot more hollow of a tube. So to cut the piping, I'm using your standard Dremel cutting bit, which is an SC456 bit. Obviously this is very worn down, but it'll do the job. Alright, so now we have our very rough cut of our template. I think now I'm going to use this, hang on. I'm going to use this grinding bit just to grind all these bits down. Then I'm going to use a finer grinding bit just to polish it up. Of course, if you don't have a Dremel tool, you could use needle files, you could just use normal files. Right, let's do it. So I've made some good progress, but work's kind of slow. So I'm using this 541 Dremel bit. It's a grinding tool, but will work a lot faster and take up more of the bulk. And then I'll move back onto the other one when I've got more of it down. I've used the grinding bit for quite a while, and I have about millimetre on all sides. Right, as I was saying, so I've got about millimetre on all sides, and then I'm going to use this fine tipped Dremel bit that I showed you earlier, just to polish up those so they're nice and flush to these. And this also, it's really low grit, well, really high grit, so it leaves a really nice finish. So the trick is just to really lightly use it just along all these bits, like as if you were painting, really. And then you really don't want to go over these, otherwise it'll all look messy. Alright, so I spent about 10 minutes just keep on filing and sorting these edges out, and they are looking really nice and smooth. You can already see like the shape really come together, but it's not like it's not as nice finish as I would have liked. So I'm going to go over it with different grades of sandpaper. I'm going to go from about 180 grit to about 600. So yeah. So when I'm sanding, I've folded my strip, and I'm just doing this because by doing this I can go over the edges, and it rounds it off really well, and it also gets rid of all little burrs that you might come across when you were grinding. So if you just do this, like bending it like this, it gives it a really nice smoothed off look. So at this point I'm on my 240p sandpaper, working my way up to 600. I'm going about 4 papers altogether, and it's really important to me, like doing nice finishes on stuff, because it can really make or break the thing you're making. Like you can make an amazing French oak table, but then you put like crappy finishing on it, it's gonna look really bad. So like it really can make or break. It can really make or break the thing you're making. So spend a lot of time like sanding, polishing. The more time you spend, really, the better it'll look. I've just finished with my 600p grit sandpaper, and just feeling around like for any rough bits. It's incredibly smooth, but there's just little burrs here from where I've been sanding. So to get rid of those, you just want to put your thumb on it and just go up and down, like kind of over the thing, rounding it off to get rid of any rough bits. Also, on the piping I was using, the inside was a bit rusty, so all I did, I think used 180p sandpaper and just did this, and then that cleaned it up real nice. Now then, at this point, all the hard work's done. You have a real clean finish. On the template, of course, there's these that you can cut out, which I did. I didn't cut out any of these. I just put my own little bits on it. Yeah, so all you gotta do now is just take off this, remove any sticky residue and paper with some WD-40. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Just get all that off. Then to the WD-40. So just get the standard WD-40, and you just want to spray it on there, making sure it's all soaking in to all bits. You want to leave it sink there for a couple of seconds so it really gets like under the paper to all the glue. Then you want to grab yourself some tissue or cloth, preferably not super easy breakable cloth, and then you just want to kind of mop it up. So now we have really nicely finished shape. It's really nice and smooth. Now on the original design there's a little piece of metal that would come out here, like 2 prongs out here, then it would loop through here. All I did for mine was, because this was a curtain pole originally, so luckily for me it had bits that would fit inside each other, and I set it to about there-ish, and then I painted it different colour. I think it was gold that I weathered down a bit. So you can do it like that, or you could do it how they originally did it. Obviously that's a lot more difficult. So this is the one that I made. It's about just over about 18 centimeters long. I put a crystal chamber in there. The crystal that my friend gave me. I think he just got it off he got it off Amazon or something. I did drill these holes and then I put the kind of mesh that you get on sonic sensors, and then I put black tape over it, so that gave it a cool effect. I put some brass screws in it, and this was like an electronics connector, so all these bits moved down, and on the back I stuck a bunch of stuff on it. I think this is something from a guitar that I stuck a black bit onto. This is part of a motor with some screws. This, I don't even know what this stuff is. It's just a jumble of everything. This is like a painting clip that can be used as a belt buckle. Now the electronics are incredibly easy. It's a simple switch and LED in there. And then, like I said, I just painted it and weathered the gold down bit. The end, which I did paint and weather, I weathered it by accident, just from general usage, and it's given it a really nice look. So I went from something a bit like this, obviously without the holes, to this, and it's really easy. It took me about a day. Then I made one for a friend as well. If you want this, because I'm not going to use it, just tell me on Instagram. I'll send it to you. I have literally no use for this. It'll go in the bin if no one wants it. And that's how you can make your very own GRAPHFLEX lightsaber.